City of Stevens Point Finance Committee meeting, recorded December 8, 2025.
Okay, we have 6:50, and I'll call a meeting of the Finance Committee to order. Take roll, please.
Christensen.
Here.
Morrow.
Here.
Shuda.
Here.
Keemer. Here. Broderick. Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. We have a fairly short agenda this evening. First of all, the chairperson's opening remarks. Mine will be brief tonight. Just a quick reminder, and you'll see our next agenda item will be on the review of the total property tax rate. It's never fun to increase taxes. People will see an increase this year. Obviously, some of them have already received their tax bills. I encourage them to keep in mind that we're only one out of 4 taxing entities, and our increase was not the largest. One of the reasons ours was as large as it was is we're trying to gradually increase ours. We'll have half of the City Hall funding out of this year's increase, and that'll make it a more gradual increase and hopefully make it less onerous for the taxpayers. But please keep those things in mind. The next non-action item will be that review of the total property tax rate for the 2025 tax year, the 2026 payable taxes.
Yes, so I included a memo in the packet as well as a summary of all the changes in terms of how each different taxing jurisdiction changed, and also a summary of the changes to credits and so forth. So it provides kind of a comprehensive overview of what influenced the tax bill changes for this year. The overall tax rate increased from $19.41 per thousand to $21.46 per thousand, an increase of about 10.6%. And then also, so that's where you're going to see your gross tax increase. But then the net tax increase is actually going to be a little bit higher than that as far as what you see on the bottom line of your bill. And the reason for that is because the amount of taxes increased by 10.6%, but the lottery credit did not really increase substantially. So because you had the growth in the tax bill, you didn't really have a growth in the lottery tax credit for any of those who receive the lottery credit, which is people who own their own homes as a primary residence and who are Wisconsin residents. For those folks, you might see at the bottom of your bill an 11-point-something% increase in your actual tax liability.
Okay. Any questions by anyone on the committee? Any questions from the public? Otherwise, we'll go on to our next agenda item. The next agenda item is a discussion and possible action on the approval of funding for repairs to the salt shed. We do have a memo in our packet. Director Badoun, would you like to shed some light on us? Shed some light on the shed?
Yes, thank you. I was expecting Superintendent Johnson to be here, but he was unfortunately sick today, so he was not in. So I'll tell you what I otherwise know, which this all happened otherwise pretty quickly. Earlier this year, there was a small tear we otherwise would notice in the roof. By the time we noticed it was already several feet, it quickly grew to something that's now at least 4 or 5 times that. We called the manufacturer. They've come and made temporary repairs, but there's really nothing they can do for the long term. It's just going to continue to get worse, and we are required to keep it covered. All cell storage needs to be covered. That's the law. So we needed others to do something. It was last inspected fine. Now it's a problem. And in a separate incident, just in operating the door that's otherwise there, something kind of otherwise jammed up in the process of trying to actually get someone to repair the door got even further damaged, and now it's completely unusable. So the deer are enjoying the large salt lick that we have. I understand they visit regularly, but to try to keep them out, we would like to get another door put back on. So, and as is other laid out there, it's the year 8 of year 10 on a warranty for that cover, so it's prorated, so we have a portion of that, but they'll pick up the rest of it. As far as the material cost, all the labor installation would be borne by the city. So I forget what the estimates are, about 50-some thousand and 30-some thousand, so it's 70 to 80,000, whatever they said in there. I apologize. I printed out.
Any questions for Director Badoon?
Anybody
Otherwise-
I have a question. Did anyone put a deer stand up by the salt lick?
Not that I'm aware of.
Good. Any questions for the director from the public? Otherwise, as a second part of this agenda item, we do also have a memo on the financing of that portion that was written by our comptroller treasurer. Corey, do you want to share your thoughts?
Sure. So as far as a funding source, we'd be looking at a 2026 project. So basically for funding, what we would have to do is either borrow additional money, or typically we have some capital project dollars that are left over from the previous year. So that's my hope, is that we have some capital project dollars left over from 2025, from things coming in under budget, that we can utilize to fund these repairs. I can't guarantee it, but that's my hope in terms of what we can use to fund this expense for 2026.
Okay, thank you. Committee, what are your wishes?
I think it needs to be, it needs to be done. I mean, it's kind of don't really have a choice on that at all. I would vote to, I would vote to have it fixed. I'd move it forward.
Okay, we have a motion to move it to approve by Alder Morrow. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Alder Keemer is a second. Any comments or thoughts by committee members? Alder Keemer.
Thank you, Chair. Is there like an estimated timeline of how long it might take to get these repairs? Is there a queue from the roofing company or the garage door company? Is it?
Unfortunately, I don't know. I believe
Okay.
Superintendent Johnson would have an
Sure.
answer to that, but
Okay.
I do not.
Okay.
Okay.
And then just as perspective, what age were these items that became unrepairable?
The roof is 8 years old. I said, and it has a 10-year warranty, so it's still prorated under that warranty. The door, I don't honestly know how old it was. The way the others described the operations and others materials, quite honestly, I don't think it was a really good choice to begin with, especially in a salty environment. You know, one of the things that the others talking about is going to a rubber door. They're a little more expensive, but is not otherwise impacted by the salt, because the door has actually been a challenge for us for a number of years just in operating, because even just the operators and stuff like that in that salt environment is not very friendly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
All right, hearing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor of approval of that, the funds to pay for the repairs to the salt shed would indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed would be no. And that passes. Our next item will be approval of funding for the purchase of 1625 Ellis Street. Director Kivila.
Thank you very much. In your packet, there's a memo with a visual. I do apologize. I could have put a visual of what the street realignment could look like. However, I failed to request that from Director Badoon, so that's on me. But if you could use your imagination, the intent is to have the street coming in from the south at an angle. It would curve up into the street going east-west that is straight, and it would create a 90-degree intersection with a stop sign, so then you'd have to turn right or turn left. Doing so, or doing this realignment, would reduce the amount of conflict points for both vehicles and pedestrians. It would be a great safety measure to take at this intersection. Having traveled the intersection, I would agree there is a level of difficulty to it and a bit of uncertainty, so looking to correct that. The idea with this purchase is to only take the land we need, the remaining land, which would include the portion of land with the house on it. The garage would most likely have to go, the detached garage, but maintaining the home, having the inspectors, assessors, fire department walk through, ensure that it is in quality condition. If it is not, we may need to come back with other options, but the hope would be to save the home and put it back on the market, potentially marketing it with some of our RDA programs that could help fix it up. So requesting approval. Cost, it is a bit of a handshake deal at the moment, looking to purchase it for $40,000, and then we would bring it back and hopefully resell the remainder of the land and put that back in the market.
I would make a motion to approve the funding for the purchase.
Motion to approve by Keemer.
I second.
And a second by Morrow. Questions from the committee? Questions or comments from the public?
She's got a question.
I've got some.
Oh, Alder Keemer.
I got something to
I
say.
apologize because I didn't ask in advance, but see, I realize you may not know this, but are there any existing code violations out on this house or maintenance issues that you're aware of? The purchase price just seems quite low, so I guess that was...
Not that I'm aware of. It is a fairly old home.
Sure.
It does need some work.
Okay.
We have not been through the home physically.
Okay.
Judging from the outside, there are some, it shows its age.
Concerns. Sure.
But yeah, I don't know if Director Badoon has anything?
I can't necessarily respond directly to like the condition of that, but you do comment that the price otherwise seems low, and there is a reason for that, and it is the family, the ownership of the existing home.
Okay.
The father in this case like that has been wanting for some time, since he's now moved out of the house, to do something more civic-minded with the property.
Wow, okay.
And so the children, I don't know what the situation is there, but the children are trying to follow through with that now. So that's really the
great.
reason. So they are not looking to make a lot of money on this, but do something nice with it to benefit the city.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying.
Thank you. That's interesting. Okay. Any other comments or questions?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of that $40,000 for the purchase of that property would indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed would be no. And that passes. Our next item on our agenda is the Authoriation. That's an interesting word. Authorization to apply for a Vibrant Spaces grant. Look, Karen, we get to make a presentation. Please share some information.
Yeah, so I've included a memo and then the actual resolution that I'd like to go to Common Council. The Vibrant Spaces grant is a grant through the WEDC that government bodies can apply for, nonprofit economic development agencies. But in order for the Business Improvement District to apply for it, I need the resolution from the city. And so basically I've outlined, our vision for the projects that we're looking at in the downtown area, which include the alley activation by the library, adding some safety with lighting, adding some color and sound, and just making it a little bit more vibrant. We're also doing several other projects that would tie in into some of the empty walls and adding some murals, adding some improvements into the square area, and then the corridor coming in. So it's kind of the corridors coming into the downtown. For the Vibrant Spaces, it mostly has to be like place-making projects. So again, not something that the city usually will do, so that's where a Business Improvement District comes in handy. So in order for me to apply for the Vibrant Spaces through the WEDC, I need this resolution from the city saying we're okay with the Business Improvement District going forward with this project. So that's what I'm here to request from the finance. I do have some proposed financial commitments. There's 2 other grants that I want to apply for, also through the arts boards that I received. So I will try to obviously get funding from other places, even sponsorships and businesses that might want to contribute. But worst case scenario, no talking with the mayor, and when we were doing some budgeting, there are some of the projects that have been identified, which is kind of where that dollar amount comes in. Some have already been done, like a part of the waterfront project that we were going to include. Now the lighting and stuff has been done, but we've added in the audio that is a need for the downtown in order to have music, and just when we have events and stuff, that we have a speaker system throughout the downtown. which is very beneficial when you're trying to announce things in a multi-block radius. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. Again, not usually available in a city budget, but by getting the grant funding it's a $25,000 to $50,000 grant, so I'd like to apply for the full $50,000, of course. So we'll try to include as many projects as we can.
So Karen, as I look at this, it looks like basically what you're looking for is a commitment for us to be willing to spend $10,000 towards basically a $90,000 to $100,000 project.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions?
Motion so moved.
Motion by Alder Morrow to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alder Keemer. Any questions or comments from the committee? Any from the public? Hearing none, all in favor of approving that $10,000 towards it, so we can apply for that grant, would indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed would be no. And that brings us to our favorite monthly opportunity to approve claims paid. Any you'd like to highlight?
Sure. So we've got a couple of large payments for road construction projects. So those typically kind of dominate the big claims that we're paying. And then also did want to note that we did also send a fairly large check to the Convention and Visitors Bureau for their portion of the room tax that we collect. And actually on that note, some good news is room tax collections are actually up 18% this year.
Wow.
So that's going very well. So definitely good to see.
Nice. Do I have a motion to approve claims paid?
So moved.
Moved by Kamer and a second by Morrow. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed be no. That exhausts our agenda, and we stand adjourned at 7:06.